That's the only name the public knows. A code, a protected identity, a real man with real wounds, alone in the middle of the Iranian desert at 3 in the morning, with Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps militias tightening the noose around him. The US Army's got a code, not a suggestion, not an aspiration. A code burned into the soul of every soldier who puts on the uniform. No one gets left behind. To honor that code that night, the United States rolled out Delta Force, Navy SEAL Team 6, squadrons of A-10 Thunderbolts, MQ-9 Reaper drones, Little Bird helicopters armed to the teeth, EA-18 Growler electronic warfare aircraft, and tech so classified its existence was only publicly confirmed weeks later, a system that could pick up a single human heartbeat from 40 miles away. But before we talk about the rescue, you've got to understand what Dude 44 Bravo was doing there, because the mission that put him in that desert wasn't your everyday sortie. It was the kind pilots know by the informal name that circulates in high-risk briefings, suicidal or damn near it. The target was a command bunker buried under mountains in western Iran, in the rugged Kermanshah region near the border with Iraq. It wasn't just any bunker, it was an underground IRGC coordination facility buried under layers of solid rock, built specifically to survive any conventional weapon. The only way to take it out was with a deep penetrating bomb, the GBU-28, a 5,000-pound warhead that can punch through more than 100 feet of reinforced concrete before it detonates. The problem wasn't the bomb, it was the geometry of the delivery. The terrain around Kermanshah is all sharp peaks and narrow valleys, a nightmare for aviators, but a paradise for short-range air defenses. The F-15E can use its terrain-following radar to ride the shadows of the valleys, staying below the coverage of Iran's long-range missile systems like the Bavar 373. But at the exact moment of the attack, when the jet has to pop up over the ridgeline to release the bomb at the right angle, it exposes itself for seconds. But seconds are enough, and the IRGC knew it. They'd placed mobile infrared missile systems right in the valleys beneath the most likely attack routes. Not radars, passive thermal sensors that don't emit anything detectable. The F-15E had no way of knowing it was being tracked. It was a trap, and the jet flew straight into it. It's 2:15 a.m. The F-15E Strike Eagle crosses the Iranian border at low altitude. Pilot and WSO, the weapon systems officer, the second crewman on the weapon systems, thread the valley on terrain following radar, staying below the detection horizon of Iran's long-range systems. The mission's on rails, then comes the attack moment. The pilot pulls back on the stick. The F-15E clears the ridge. Down in the valley, an IRGC mobile unit with infrared missiles has had the jet tracked for minutes on passive thermal. The instant the F-15E appears above the terrain, 2 missiles leave the rails. The pilot dumps flares and pulls a high-G evasive. 1 missile bites on the flare. The second has a dual-band seeker. It picks up both engine heat and exhaust plume in the ultraviolet. It rejects the flare. Proximity detonation. The blast doesn't shred the jet outright. Fragmentation takes out the hydraulics and flight controls. The pilot's got seconds to process, both punch out. The pilot lands in a relatively accessible area and is picked up within hours. The WSO, Dude 44 Bravo, isn't that lucky. Injured during ejection, he comes down in extremely rugged mountains with enemy forces already moving toward the crash site. Wounded in the dark, in enemy territory, survival training takes over. First imperative, get clear of the immediate impact area before Iranian forces arrive. Second, gain altitude, both for terrain visibility and to improve emergency beacon transmission. Despite his injuries, Dude 44 Bravo walks more than 2 miles and climbs a 7,000-foot ridge. For context, 7,000 feet is higher than any peak in Colorado's eastern Rockies, wounded in the dark, with Iranian militias below. From the ridge top, he activates his emergency beacon, sending his position to US monitoring systems, but he can't leave it on continuously. The IRGC has signals intelligence teams actively sweeping American emergency frequencies. Transmit too much, and you're signing your own death warrant. So he transmits in short bursts, on, off, on, off. Enough for the Americans to build a rough triangulation, not enough for the Iranians to pinpoint him. It's an impossible balance, and he held it for more than 36 hours. While Dude 44 Bravo was surviving on the mountain, the CIA was running a disinformation op inside Iran. The goal was simple and brutal: make the IRGC look in the wrong place. CIA officers and assets started feeding deliberately false information through channels they knew Iranian intelligence would intercept. That US forces had already located the WSO and were trying to exfil him overland toward the northern border with Azerbaijan. The disinformation worked with surgical precision. IRGC units and Basij militias were redirected hundreds of kilometers north, far from Dude 44 Bravo's actual position, south of Isfahan. That bought time, not a ton, but enough for the real rescue op to organize, move into position, and execute. Without the enemy density there would have been if the IRGC had been searching in the right place. It's the kind of operation the CIA rarely confirms publicly. In this case, confirmation came implicitly through military reporting in the weeks that followed. But there was one problem disinformation couldn't fix: Dude 44 Bravo's precise location. The sporadic beacon gave a general area. That wasn't enough for a night rescue in the mountains. Sending helos to a general area covering square kilometers of Iranian mountain in the dark, with enemy forces possibly repositioning, was a suicide mission all by itself. The answer came from Lockheed Martin's Skunk Works, the same secret shop that built the U-2, the SR-71 Blackbird, and the F-117 Stealth. They developed a system called Ghost Murmur. The principle is quantum magnetometry. Every living human throws off a tiny electromagnetic pulse with every heartbeat. The same signal an EKG measures with electrodes on your chest. Ghost Murmur scales that idea to battlefield level using synthetic diamond sensors with nitrogen vacancy defects. Quantum structures hypersensitive to magnetic field variation. Mounted on Black Hawk helicopters and HC-130J Combat King aircraft, the system sweeps the landscape below like an invisible net, registering the electromagnetic pulse of human hearts out to 40 miles. The problem is noise. A modern battlefield is saturated with electromagnetic interference. To isolate a human heartbeat in that chaos, Ghost Murmur uses AI trained specifically to recognize the clinical pattern of a human pulse, throwing out mountains of background clutter to isolate that one repeating signal. As one source put it, it's like hearing a single whisper in a packed stadium, except the stadium's 1,000 square miles. The arid desert of southern Iran was the perfect test environment. Low human density, low natural EM interference. Ghost Murmur located Dude 44 Bravo with enough precision for a rescue operation. His heart, still beating after 36 hours of impossible survival, became his position fix. It's 2 a.m. A flight of MH-6 Little Birds, the smallest, most agile attack helicopters in the US arsenal, slips through Iranian airspace below radar, threading the valleys on night vision. Behind them, MH-60 Black Hawks carrying Delta Force and Navy SEAL Team 6 operators. Above, at nearly 10 kilometers altitude, EA-18 Growlers unleash an electronic warfare storm that blinds Iranian early warning radars in the region. MQ-9 Reapers keep unbroken overwatch on Dude 44 Bravo's position. The Special Operations Force lands, establishes a 360-degree defensive perimeter around the wounded WSO. Up to here, the ops on plan. Then the horizon starts to move. IRGC forces, its quick reaction units, Basije militias, local groups, converge on the position from multiple directions. Disinformation bought hours, not days, and now time's up. What happens over the next few minutes is described in the reports as a slugfest, a brutal, hours-long fight with fire coming from every angle at once. The operators hold a tight perimeter and pour suppressive fire in 360 degrees. A-10, thunderbolts on close air support hammer, advancing Iranian units with their 30mm Avenger cannons. Tracer lines painting the valley in the dark. It's American air power that eventually tips the scale, not by brute force alone, but by the extra seconds each A-10 pass buys the team on the ground. Under that heavy air cover, the operators load Dude 44 Bravo onto the extraction helicopter. But the operation still wasn't over. At the improvised landing strip 14 miles from Shiraz, an abandoned farm field the Americans had turned into a temporary forward operating base, 2 transport aircraft suffered critical failures and couldn't get airborne. The IRGC was minutes away with a full convoy. The decision came in seconds: destroy the aircraft on sight, leave nothing for the Iranians. The crews activated destruction charges. 2 American planes, loaded with classified tech, intel systems, and gear whose combined value topped $100 million, were reduced to charred wreckage on Iranian soil. 3 more aircraft were scrambled in an emergency to evacuate all U.S. personnel. In all, the rescue of Dude 44 Bravo cost 2 F-15Es shot down or damaged, 2 transport aircraft destroyed on purpose, 1 helicopter lost, and reports of significant casualties among Iranian forces that tried to stop the extraction. The price tag in equipment alone topped $400 million to rescue 1 man. And here's what sets this story apart from anything else in the American military's bag of war stories. Nobody in command asked whether it was worth it. There was no debate, no cost-benefit spreadsheet. When the code says no one gets left behind, they don't. Full stop. 100 elite operators, dozens of aircraft, heartbeat detection tech cooked up in a secret lab, $400 million in hardware, all of it to bring 1 man home. That's the price the United States is willing to pay, always has been, always will be. And any adversary who thinks they can use captured American troops as diplomatic leverage is making the same mistake the IRGC made that night, underestimating what that code really means.